I can't count the reasons I should stay. One by one, they all just become the OSMcast. Welcome once back, or once newly, to the OSMcast, your podcast for everything awesome. I'm Basil.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Dylan.
I'm John.
And that's us. Good job, y'all. We forgot to actually decide what order we were talking in. So, hi. How's everyone doing in these wonderful times?
All right.
In these trying times, as every email you get says.
Yeah.
In these times.
Yeah, these troublesome times, tiresome times, trying times, these COVID-19 times.
I'm very comfortable in my hermetically sealed virus-proof bunker 50 miles under the earth.
Man,
Wouldn't that be nice, though?
Yeah.
It'd be so nice. Yeah, all people who have those are complaining about it, but whatever.
I know, right?
So
this isn't the apocalypse they were promised.
No, it's true.
Yeah,
People are by and large still living, and it turns out they're the zombies after all.
This is
John
really just
really
Train
was
to
a
Busan,
zombie.
but nobody's on a train.
I need to watch that movie. But,
I just keep thinking of, like, the rich guy who, tries to get out of the car where they're, like, bunkered in, like, nobody gets in or out.
Yeah.
But, we just have the rich guy trying to get out and fuck with everything.
yes, I think this has been a stark mirror against who just would screw us over in the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, like who would hide the bite?
Yeah.
All right. So, of course, always find our stuff at OSMcast.com. We now have a new show. We've already released the first episode of it, the Carbuncle Chronicle, our dedicated Final Fantasy XIV podcast. Please, if you're into 14, let us know what you think. We would really love to know. Also, things that are on the internet is the wonderful Twitch channel. These are video games. John, what's so amazing about it? Please tell me now.
Well, we just hit 1,000 hours streamed. We probably had, last night I think we averaged, 4 viewers, which is 3 more than what we usually average. And the one is just the stream that Mike has up on his computer in the background while we run. Last night we played Remnant from the Ashes. It's a Dark Souls style game, but with guns. We did the original Dark Souls some years ago. Then a few months back we did Code Vein, the anime Dark Souls. So, for hitting 1,000 hours, it felt right that we did yet another Dark Souls style game. So we're doing that. We're doing League of Legends usually on Fridays because COVID. Usually we're recording in person. We're next to each other on a couch. And, at this point I probably would have already played through Resident Evil 2, which is now just stuck at Mike's house until who knows. And, after that I was going to go on to Devil May Cry 5, but who knows. We'll get to those eventually, I guess. Nice.
So, and you can find those at TheseAreVGgames, I think, .com, as well as the Twitch channel.
Yeah, twitch.tv/TheseAreVG. You can also follow us on Twitter at the same handle.
Yes. All right, Kevin, give us that wonderful theme.
It's a moment of awesome.
So what's your moment of awesome, Kevin?
Well, a little bit of an odd jump for me. Something I actually just watched in the last couple days is on Netflix, where I saw it. There's a show. Well, it's kind of half show, half documentary. It's called Roman Empire, and it's narrated by Sean Bean. And it's kind of the history documentary. Like half the time, it's like the narrator saying, "And then Commodus seized power in the empire." Except it's Sean Bean's super sexy voice. And, with the occasional scenes of historians talking about stuff. But then about the other half of the show are actual scenes acted out by actors being characters in the, the story of, well, each season is a different emperor. Season 1 is Commodus, who people probably know from Gladiator if they saw that. And the season 2 and 3 are Julius Caesar and Caligula, who have much bigger name recognition. I was actually probably halfway through the first season before I realized that I guess this is supposed to be the hotter, sexier history documentary, because there's actually a fair amount of bloody violence and nudity in this. And I was just kind of listening to it and didn't notice it for a while. I kind of had it in the background while I was playing video games, and it was like, oh, this is nice, a little Roman history refresher. The where its hotter and sexiness fails, though, is when they get to Caligula, and Tiberius's, debauchery is really just consists of a couple girls on a bed making out with each other, and I'm like, okay, I've seen the Malcolm McDowell Caligula. This is kind of weak.
I'm really concerned about Sean Bean doing a documentary because I'm afraid that he'll die for real.
I don't know. It made for a good couple of days of, I was like, I want to find something documentary-ish to watch, and it was documentary-ish.
It's fine. I'm currently watching something Star Trek-ish with Star Trek Discovery on the CBS All Access thing. And it's weird because you clearly realize pretty fast that to make it visually interesting, it does not feel like it actually exists within the normal Star Trek timeline at all. Everything is way nicer, way too advanced. Like, you have lots of more holograms and not enough people on view screens.
Huh.
Isn't it like a prequel, though, to the original series?
Yeah, it takes place 10 years before Kirk starts doing his stuff on the Enterprise.
Huh.
And they even do some weird nods here and there. Like, in the second season, spoilers, there's a moment where Captain Pike, who is the guest captain for this season, goes, I always hate all these holograms anyway. Let's make sure the Enterprise just has view screens. And it's like, okay, so that's how you're explaining that. All right. But no, as long as you take those caveats that this is a brand new Star Trek, a very new looking Star Trek, a Star Trek that's somewhat more in the more movieverse kind of Star Trek, but still trying to sort of take that older style Star Trek style and try to make something new with it, it's fine. And there's lots of fun moments. I do like some of the characters very, very, very much. I like pretty much the entire engineering crew, where it's either Stamets or Tilly. They're both lots of fun. And Stamets is very much I'm smarter than you and I'm a jerk about it. But within a couple episodes, things happen and suddenly he becomes a much happier person, where he's still smarter than you and he can still be a jerk about it, but he's having fun now, so it's okay. But the main actress who plays the lead character is awesome. She's a human that is secretly, well, it's not a secret, except that no one really knew it, that Spock had a half-sister or an adopted sister that was purely human, but was raised, by his dad, Sarek, on Vulcan. So she's a human, 100%, but still somehow kind of thinks like a Vulcan, and kind of has to remember that she's human sometimes, and that's interesting.
Yeah, that seems interesting, especially because Vulcans seem to kind of be superpowered, depending on what you're watching.
Yeah. I do relate to occasionally have to remember I'm human, though.
But it's a lot of fun. One of the aliens is portrayed, oh my god, I'm blanking on his name, but he was the guy who was also the creature in The Shape of Water.
Oh, yeah, Doug Jones.
Yes, he's very, very good. I've been really, really enjoying Season 2. Season 1 was clearly the classic Star Trek. We don't know what we're doing for Season 1, so we're just going to do it, and we're going to see what happens.
Go a bunch of places, see a bunch of things, not so much of a concrete plot line kind of setup.
Well, the trick is that there is a concrete plot setup. Like, the idea is that they're telling, like, it's supposed to be, modern day TV where there is a through line. There is a general plot through the entire thing. But also they try to do sort of the, one-off episodes in there too. But also, so it's not quite as, episode a week as Star Trek usually is. Picard has that similar feeling because they're trying to tell a story, but also have like moments and one-off things. And that's a much trickier thing to balance and make work. But by and large, I'm still pretty much enjoying it and kind of had to pull myself away from it to be able to watch the last season of Community, because that was the only season I've never seen before we recorded now. So, but yeah, Star Trek Discovery, I'm having fun.
So Basil, after you finish that, are you going to go on to watch Star Trek Continues?
That's a great question. No. No.
I was thinking of that the other day because, there was a May the 4th thread and then people started posting Star Trek and I was like, oh man, do I do it? Do I just pull in the Vic Kirk and just throw that one in everybody's lap and walk away?
No one needs a Vic anything thrown at them, especially in their lap.
No.
It took me a second to realize what you were talking about when you referenced that, and I wondered if we were actually going to explain why that would be weird or just, not say the name that can't be said.
I mean, whatever.
Oh, I'll say F Vic anytime you need me to, man. Anyways,
how
Dylan.
could you say something so brave and yet so controversial?
Dylan, what's your moment?
I'm going to go back in my backlog and actually pull out an anime for once. I think I caught an episode of this last year at AWA, Laid Back Camp. It's, I think, 12 or 13 episodes. It's just kind of a general slice of life anime with kind of the conceit that it is about camping and is somewhat has mildly educational moments about, camping equipment and things like that. It's just it's a really good anime that makes you feel good because it's really just about friendship. It's one of those. You have the main character is this loner. She goes up to the mountains occasionally to camp. She runs into this other girl, and I'm blanking on their names, Rin and Nadeshko, I think, who's kind of just out of her element and helps her get back home. And that sort of pulls Nadeshko's kind of the catalyst that kind of pulls her into a friend group. And so in the outdoor club at school. So you see this kind of form halfway through. I was like, okay, they're going to throw in some weird twist where something horrible happens. No, just nice, easygoing slice of life with really nice visuals of, nature and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that's actually a genre called a yashike, which is Japanese, I believe, for healing, where it's y'all just enjoy, just don't worry about it.
But like I said, it was really funny because halfway through, it's this is going too well. One of these girls is going to die by the end, isn't she? Nope.
We get traumatized by some of our media, I think, sometimes. We come to expect these things.
Some of us are just too cynical for a good Iyashike, really.
From the creators of Madoka Magica.
Yeah, okay, that is a good point. That's probably where some of that came from.
And someone who is never cynical. Never, not once. John, what's your moment of awesome?
Yo! I prefer that I'm not cynical, Basil. I'm just realistic. And when you're in a really shitty world, you just happen to be right a lot, and it makes you seem like you're cynical. I've been playing Kid Icarus.
Which one?
The original NES Kid Icarus.
Okay.
On Nintendo Switch Online. It wasn't one that I played a lot of. I didn't own it as a kid, and I think I rented it once or twice, but it never stuck with me the way that a lot of the other early NES games did. And I don't think I appreciated how different the game was in terms of its structure. Because the very first level is a vertical platformer, and the screen wraps it, which is to say that you don't scroll left to right, but if you walk off the screen on the right side, you'll pop back over on the left, and that's utilized in some of the platforming sections. And then when you get out of that first area, you're like, oh, there's a side scroller here. So there's a lot of really interesting elements that, especially considering when the game came out, were pretty unique. I don't even think I realized that, how some of the power-ups were in effect in the game. Like, you get the rotating shield later, and it's a really interesting game. It's a good game to kind of go back to, especially if you didn't spend a lot of time on it as a kid. It's interesting to go back to, and I feel the same way about Zelda 2. I've talked about this before, but Zelda 2 was way ahead of its time in a lot of respects. It had a lot of RPG elements at a time where RPG elements in video games weren't commonplace, so we didn't know what the hell we were looking at or dealing with, and it was such a different game from Zelda 1.
It's also just poorly translated enough to be super confusing about where you need to go and what to do.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you needed Nintendo Power for that shit. But yeah, and interesting. Both are interesting games to go back to and just look at from a what were these for the time they came out.
Yeah, because I know that Kid Icarus was Nintendo's R&D 1, which is the same team that made Metroid.
Yes.
And honestly, I didn't get into really their style of games up until I didn't really get into it until Super Metroid on the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
And I remember playing Kid Icarus at a Walmart at the Nintendo display, not having any idea what I was doing. But it's one of those things where, much like you, I should really go back and play that game at some point because I'm sure it's way more neat than I realize.
Also, a lot of the frustrating pieces to it, the rewind feature. I feel like the rewind feature for the NES games is actually a really great feature because a lot of those NES games, like Contra for instance, to beat them you had to just play the section over and over again because you had no way of knowing what was going to kill you next. So having that feature, on one sense you think that you're cheating, but then you remember, these games were just designed for you to run into this over and over again, so you may as well just take the fast route.
Yeah, when, if you know how to do it, you can probably beat it in an hour or so kind of games, and then it's it kept itself interesting because it was going to kill you a lot.
Yes. I also want to mention this. I haven't played it yet, but somehow I had to have heard about this at some point and then just forgot. But I realized that Steam Early Access has a Metroidvania Record of Lodoss War game.
Yeah, I saw that was a thing that was going to exist.
I think it's called Deedlit in Wonder Labyrinth or something like that.
Yeah.
And right now it's on sale for $10 on Steam, and I think I'm going to buy it. Even though it's early access, it's not a finished game, quote unquote. But, I watched some of the footage of it, and it's definitely here's Symphony of the Night, but with Deedlit. And so, I'm here for that. I'm ready for this.
I question how anyone got the rights to make that, but hey.
Well, before that, the developer, which is Team Ladybug, they made a Toho Metroidvania that apparently is a very good, which is also on Steam. So if you kind of want a taste of that, there is a whole actual game already made that you can buy and play on Steam that I hear is just excellent. That I have been keeping my eye on here and there. I'm not a Toho fan at all, but cool. I hear it's a great game. But let's ourselves hit the rewind button and go all the way back to the wonder times of 2009 to 2015. Truly a magical era that I don't remember anymore, but you can experience it in the TV show known as Community.
Give me your hands, show me the door. I cannot stand to wait anymore. Somebody said, be what you be. We could be old and cold and dead on the sea. But I love you more than words can say. Well, I can't count the reasons I should stay. Give me some rope, time in a dream. Give me the hope to run out of steam. Somebody said it could be here. We could be roped up.
Yeah, so back in 2009, a long, long ago era that felt such a much more simpler time. There was a TV show that came on NBC called Community by this guy named Dan Harmon, which people know now from Rick and Morty, but I kind of would want to posit that I think he still peaked at Community. Not that I don't think Rick and Morty's, I still enjoy it, but I mean, just going back and watching the Yahoo Screen season and still just laughing a lot when I wasn't expecting to. I'm like, man, it's a good show.
Yeah, it is also surprising that they were able to do such weird concept episodes. It's just, of course, Rick and Morty kind of has that as well, but also get you emotionally invested in the plot lines in a way that, some of those other shows don't.
actually funny because I did just watch what is the most recent Rick and Morty episode and had a thought of this actually almost seems like a Community episode plot.
Yeah, going back and rewatching Community, I can definitely see some of the connections there. I guess that's not really surprising.
Yeah, it is. Well, it is a show that is ostensibly about a group of diversely aged and ethnic grouped people who form a study group at a community college for their Spanish class. And, their day-to-day adventures. And that doesn't really sound like it's anything special.
Well, I think saying, diversely aged and, all that stuff kind of belies the fact that the way the first season sets these characters up is they are weirdos. They're not, I won't quite say outcasts for all of them, but there's definitely something that kind of puts them on the outside of normal society, and that's kind of the way they set up the college. They set up Greendale as the place for people like that.
Yeah. Maybe, arguably Jeff is quote-unquote normal, but it's kind of at the cost of, having no real close personal connections.
Yeah, I mean, but the show kind of makes clear that, he's broken. He's just broken in a slightly different way than all the other characters are.
Who are also broken.
Yes.
Because Dan Harmon is also broken, therefore everybody is broken.
I was going to say, if you watch, the stinger after the last episode, he makes that very clear. Not to give anything away, but...
What is interesting about Community for me was also that as it kept going on, for them to try to keep making more of it, the cast actually has to change because other people became actually bigger than Community could hold on to. You know, even people that were in the very first season, John Oliver was the initial teacher that they had to deal with. Or, Donald Glover becoming the international superstar that he is.
Yeah, I think rewatching it, that was also it was a really weird feeling because it meshes so well with the fact that this is set in a college. And you get 4 years of college and then you're gone. And if you come back to your college, it's not going to be the same place. So you've got that kind of looming as the show goes longer, as well as characters leaving. And there is kind of this emotional roller coaster of this is all going to be over, kind of hanging over it.
So I know we've talked about Jeff, who is our main character. He is a former fake lawyer who is now having to actually get some form of degree. And he's very good at lying and hiding his feelings, and just always trying to be the laziest person ever. And then there's, of course, our wonderful Britta, who is our resident anarchist, but in everything in life, she's terrible at it.
Anarchist / activist. Yeah.
Heavily performative.
Yeah.
And they kind of get into that in certain episodes.
I will say that I really enjoy how they do the whole thing where Britta is always terrible, but it never feels in contrast, how Family Guy handles Meg. No one actively hates Britta. She's just always bad at things.
That is true. And I know that's a question we got anyway. Is she the worst? And I'll get into that.
The answer is no. But I feel like Britta is the she's the activist version of someone who does CrossFit. She just wants you to know that she's doing it.
Yes.
Kinda.
That is a good analogy. But as with all the characters, there's other things going on underneath that. She's doing that to fill a need.
And some of that need is just, I don't want to be like my parents.
Yeah.
And then there's Dan Harmon. I mean Abed.
Oh, good old Abed.
This is very much my point of view character because he's the weird kid.
He almost is mine. I relate really hard to Abed.
Yeah, which is not surprising, because he's very pop culture driven.
Yeah.
That's the way he relates to other people.
Yeah. He relates to the world as if it was a TV show. Which, on the surface is, oh, haha, he's a character in a TV show. But they weirdly treat it very seriously.
And many times it's like the crux of the series itself. Like, I think this is one of those things where you can almost replace any character and still get community. But I think you can't get rid of Jeff and you can't get rid of Abed.
That's probably true. I don't know.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this earlier today, about what the parallels between Community and Saved by the Bell were. Abed is not Screech, even though he kind of fills that same void, but also Dustin Diamond is a giant piece of shit.
Yeah.
So
he's more like Chevy Chase in that respect.
Dang it, John, that was what I was saying. So you're saying... So you mean he's Pierce, is what you're trying to tell me.
No, I mean Chevy Chase, but yes, also Pierce.
Dustin Diamond is the Chevy Chase of Danny Cooties?
Yeah,
I'd argue
much.
on many levels Pierce is actually a better person than the actual Chevy Chase.
Oh yeah, he absolutely is.
But he's played by Chevy Chase.
Well, no, I guess what I mean is, like, there was a lot of drama, like, even after all the drama between Dan Harmon and Chevy Chase, like, Pierce is still written sympathetically.
So Pierce is the old man that is terrible, but let's always take classes forever because he can and it's cheap.
Yeah.
He's grumpy, he's perverted, he's kind of racist.
He's extremely racist.
Yeah, I was about to say, kind of. What?
He's okay. Yeah, he's extremely racist.
But on the other hand,
a little.
He's kind of a trust fund kid. It's clear he's never really connected with anyone that well, because you see that kind of coming up in different places, even though he doesn't play it up.
And then there's Shirley, who I love Shirley. She's one of my favorite characters in the cast.
Wow, we are so diametrically opposed on this.
She's very much the mom character. I don't know that I would say she's my favorite. She's just not actively terrible to people most of the time. And
I
usually more well-intentioned. She's just, I can't relate to her as well. But
she's terrible in ways that I'm way too familiar with. And
that actually
therefore
does
I like her
sense.
a lot less than most of the other characters.
That is true. She is very passive-aggressive. I don't know. Like, there is a line you can put some of these characters on. Some of them are unintentionally terrible, and some of them are very intentionally terrible.
Yeah.
To the point of almost being villains. I put her in the more unintentional side, where I put people like Jeff and Pierce on the more intentional side. I guess that may be my difference there.
Yeah, I would argue that she is more intentional just in the way that she uses her religion.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah, like I said, I'm just way too familiar with that, so I just can't. I can't get on board with Shirley, even when she's talking like Miss Piggy.
Her conflicts with the group tend to stem out of her being very religious.
Yeah, I think I read that as she doesn't know any better. She's not kind of set back and thought about what she's doing. But I can see how that could also be read as she uses her religion kind of as a tool to manipulate people.
And then there is Annie Edison, our favorite checklist checker-offer.
Yeah, when I was thinking of my Saved by the Bell comparisons, I was like, she doesn't really fit any of the roles because, Britta is more like Jessie, but they gave Annie the pill-popping problem.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she's very straight-laced, tries to be organized, so I probably relate to her second to Abed. But yeah, they have to throw in the pill-popping problem so that, she's broken and she ends up at Greendale. I think that's kind of where that comes from.
Who is fairly smart is here at this little dinky community college.
Yeah.
She had a pill problem in school, and she didn't really grow into herself until after high school.
And then we have Troy Barnes, as portrayed by Donald Glover, who, man, but if anyone, like, stepped out of this show into the spotlight, it is this guy.
Yeah,
which is kind of interesting because, yeah, he's far and away the most successful of the people to come out of the show, but it's definitely not for the show. Like, his character is fine, and he's fine as him, but, I mean, to me, he's, like, so middle of the road.
In the show?
Yeah, just, like, in terms of being a character. It's like, okay, I think the one that probably resonates with me the most, that kind of forms my opinion of him, was the one where they were in acting class and, everybody else was going through their trauma and he just made up a trauma because he didn't have one.
Yes. And that's what's weird is they kind of play that up. Like, I tend to think of Troy as another one of the weird kids, which he eventually grows into, but they start him off as a jock.
Yeah. He was like
and they have to kind of
high school.
Yeah. They kind of have to edge him out of that role, and it's hard for me to think of him in that role, but I see where you're coming from on that.
He's there as a jock for a little while, and then once they went into, oh wait, no, he's Abed's best friend.
Yeah.
And once they clicked and were like always hanging out together, they work really great as a pair.
Yeah, they really, really, really do. That, like, Troy and Abed might be my favorite character.
Yes.
Right.
As a singular unit.
Yeah, which
But I think that's why it's hard for me to think of Troy as his own character, because a lot of his best moments are so heavily linked to his interactions with Abed.
Yeah, and like I said, as someone who really identifies with kind of the weird kid characters, when he leaves, like they end up getting to the point where Abed and Troy and Annie kind of end up being the weird kids a lot of times, and Troy leaves, and it's like, you just took the heart of, like, you're breaking up the heart of the show. How is this going to continue?
Right.
And that's with, Ben Chang. Well, he's something.
Oh man, his arc in season 3 is just amazing. They set that up like from the first episode, and I'm not going to say more because I guess that gets into spoilers.
Yeah, Chang, the always peripherally attached to the group, but never really part of it.
He feels like a character in like a harem anime. Like, I'm trying to think. It's been
the main character.
What?
The main character in a harem anime?
No, like one of the side characters, like Tenchi Muyo, or am I thinking of like Oh My Goddess or something, where they start out as the bad guy, they start out as the rival, and then eventually they kind of get absorbed into the group as one of the protagonists, and it's super weird that ever happened, but it just seems natural because you want to keep the character around.
He's the Vegeta of Community.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's not as much a harem anime as much as it is a fighting anime trope, where, you fight somebody and there's a 50-50 shot that they join the group afterwards.
Yeah, I guess it's where I experienced it more than fighting anime, but yeah, it's like that trope.
Yeah.
Now, does that make the Dean Piccolo?
Yes, sort of.
I don't know what that means.
God, I was trying to think if there was a like, I don't have like the most pansexual character to just pop in my head in Dragon Ball. I don't know who that would be.
Gosh, Jim Rash as Craig Pelton, the Dean. He's so good.
Yeah. Well,
yes.
Now you put in my head, if they ever try to take a crack at another live-action Dragon Ball, I don't want him to be Piccolo, but I want him to be a Namekian.
Maybe it's just the bald head that he's constantly having, but I'm thinking of him as Master Roshi. That may just be too on the nose. I don't know.
That would he would bring an energy to that role that could be very, very interesting. And then as we go through the cast list, of course, John Oliver was Professor Ian Duncan, who was sort of the inciting teacher for the show. It also comes back in season 3.
Yeah.
Makes appearances throughout the show.
Yeah. Because I think he's in season 5 or 6 as well.
Yeah, I was about to say, I remember him showing up late-ish.
Like,
And
there's
then-
a couple seasons where he's way more prominent than others, but
Yeah.
And then for at least for a season, there was Professor Buzz Hickey.
I kind of liked.
Yeah, I kind of feel like he was the first character that really stepped in and filled in when Chevy Chase and Donald Glover left. And he does really well. It doesn't feel like...
Different flavor of cranky old man.
Yeah, but it doesn't... Like, he doesn't feel like he's just pasted in there to fill in the gap.
And then in the final season, the great, wonderful Yahoo Screen season of a show, which is right up there with IMDb TV apparently greenlighting a reboot of Leverage. That's
What?
I don't even know what that is.
like that's going to be a thing where
That's a fucking old TNT show, wasn't it?
yeah, and it's
I
by the
I only
folks.
know about Leverage through watching lots of Law and Order. That's my only point of reference to that show.
Leverage was actually a lot of fun. I really, really enjoyed it. And they went on to make a series called The Librarians, which was a much more out there show. It's very Warehouse 13 equivalent, even though it came out right before Warehouse 13 did. And the lead guy from that one is now going to be playing the lead guy that was in Leverage. Except the rest of the cast of Leverage is going to be in there too, but it's a reboot. So, anyways, neither here nor there. We also had Frankie Darr and Keith David. I mean, Elroy Potashnik.
Yeah, and again, these are characters that stepped in to fill a gap. Obviously, like when Shirley left. I feel like it would have been nice to see more of these characters. Like they didn't just feel like they were pasted in.
Yeah, which is weird because like you'd probably Paget Brewster as Frankie is actually probably my favorite character.
And Keith David as Elroy, like he's up there. Like I was like, oh snap, that's Keith David. That's actually him. He's not just a voice in something. He's not just a gargoyle or telling me what to do in Mass Effect. No, that's Keith David. And you're a weird, creepy, like mad scientist kind of guy in an RV. I love this.
Yeah, he definitely fills the cranky old man role that, Pierce and Buzz leave.
And it does work because I am a person who has tried to do the college thing several times, and one day I'll actually do it. I'm really looking forward to that day. It'll never happen, but I keep looking forward to it. And so I've kind of gone through the thing where I will see, because colleges and one of those things that kind of change as time goes on, like teachers retire. The set of students you have, in year one is not going to be the same set of students you're going to see, sometimes not even year 4, but even like 5 or 6 or something past that. Like it's going to be a completely different setup of folks.
Yeah. I do like when they ease in some new characters, they do get to be really perplexed by the relationships of our existing characters.
You mean like the new characters they add in later seasons? Because they add a lot of there's actually a lot of characters in the background that are really fully fleshed out characters.
They are super consistent.
Yeah, and I really, at this point, I really, really want to pour one out for our boy Leonard, who was portrayed by Richard Erdman, who did pass away in March of last year.
Oh.
Yeah. If you, so Joel McHale and Ken Jeong have started a podcast called The Darkest Timeline that, the big idea of it is that Ken Jeong's actually a doctor and can speak to some of the things that are going on right now. But they do have an episode where they're telling some stories about him, and it is good.
Well, he passed away at 93. Like, he had a very, very long history.
They go into that.
But him and Garrett and Neil, and there were so many side characters who just lived on through the entire show.
There's the one episode that's, I think, of the first season that's like near Christmas. It's December 10th, and it's like the one where they get into a fist fight with the guys who are just kind of assholes.
Yeah,
they bring all of them they like bring some of them back in an episode, like the second paintball episode. They get those guys back in just to be there.
And so one of the things that is, I guess, unique to Community, although it's not, but it is a thing that Dan Harmon does with his things, is that he does a thing called his story wheel or his story circle. That is, he took the hero's journey, but then condensed it to 8 steps. A character is in a zone of comfort familiarity. They desire something. Step 2, step 3. They enter an unfamiliar situation. They adapt to that situation. They get what they wanted, but they have to pay a price for it. They return to the familiar situation, and they have changed as a result of their journey. And after reading about that and going back to watching episodes, yeah, you could definitely tell that is sort of a reoccurring framework that he sort of builds all his episodes on. And hey, just like a hero's journey, it's a good framework.
Yeah, and I think that's what drives a lot of the emotional investment you can have in what are otherwise really goofy episodes. Like, I think the example you gave was the D&D episode, and they could have done that as just like a bit, kind of like Family Guy did Star Wars episodes. But it seemed like every time they did one of those high concept episodes, they had it fit into the world, and they had the characters going through some sort of journey.
And I think one of the sort of the subsets, one of the sub-themes of Community is just like, frankly, Dan Harmon's thoughts on how TV works in general. It's through the lens of Abed, but a lot of the show, and especially all of its callbacks and things, and sort of their fourth wall breaking stuff, is usually stuff about TV and about the show itself, and how does TV even work?
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, because you have Abed saying, a lot of times we'll go like, now here's the point where this has to happen, and usually it does, or it doesn't, and they kind of play off of that.
I can definitely see how Dan Harmon moved from this show to Rick and Morty, because in many ways, Community could be a cartoon, only it's live action anyways.
Except for that one time it's a cartoon. Well, a couple times it's a cartoon.
Well, yeah, that's true, and those are really good episodes. I think the other thing it does, just like Rick and Morty can have some really good sci-fi elements. Like, sci-fi isn't just kind of papered over all the other goofy stuff it's doing. Community has some really well-written episodes that kind of build multiple layers of what's going on, like the conspiracy theory episode where they find the class that isn't supposed to exist, like, just has so many layers that all kind of connect to each other. And as best I can tell, they're being honest about it. Like, it's not like they throw in some weird twist to make it work. Like, it's actually well-written plot.
All right. So let's take a break, and we're going to come back with questions and spoilers and all that fun stuff in one brand new segment of the OSMcast.
¿Dónde está la biblioteca? Me llamo T-Bone, la araña discoteca.
Discoteca, muñeca, la biblioteca. Es el bigote grande, pero manteca.
Manteca, bigote, gigante, pequeño. Cabeza es nieve, cerveza es bueno.
Buenos días, me gustas papas frías. Bigote de la cabra, es Cameron Diaz. Yeah, boy.
Yeah.
What? It's 2009.
Word.
And we're back. One of the things I did forget to mention was that the music was done by Ludwig Göransson, who I probably mispronounced at least part, if not all of that, which he's done music for the movies like Creed and Black Panther. He did the soundtrack to The Mandalorian. He's also Donald Glover's producer for Childish Gambino. He helps write all the music to the songs. And the soundtrack to Community is very good. I'm always surprised how well it works.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's go on to some questions. Once again, I do want to thank the folks on the Third Impact Anime Discord. They are wonderful people. Everyone should join their Discord. It is the official, unofficial home of the OSMcast as far as Discord goes, because they run a good Discord. That means I don't have to. Our first question comes from Corey from the Taiku podcast at Impassionate K on Twitter. Favorite episodes?
In terms of concept, like I really like the Meow Meow Beans episode in season 5, which goes kind of full Hunger Games based on like the idea of an app where you rate people. I also really like G.I. Jeff and the 8-bit episode just because they were so like, it's crazy that we got those episodes on network TV.
Yeah, the G.I. Joe episode is probably my favorite.
I remember the first episode that really, really got to me was episode 7 of season 2, Aerodynamics of Gender. Mostly when Troy and Jeff found the mysterious garden Glen with the trampoline.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what about it really, really, really got to me, but it did.
I think there were a couple others, like, in terms of just, like, writing, like I said, the conspiracy theory episode was really good. They had a lot of others like that. I think another good example of that was the one where the dean makes a commercial and it just spirals out of control.
There's that. I think it was in the second season. There's the one where Abed basically becomes Jesus while he's making a movie, and life is the movie, but it's not, except it's terrible.
Yes, that's another one where it just kind of goes further and further out of control. One that hit me hard was Virtual Systems Analysis, I think, where Annie and Abed are in the Dreamatorium and she kind of dives into what his deal is, and at the end he ends up in the locker and he's like, this is where I end up, when people get tired of me. And like, I remember that hitting me hard. Like, I remember watching that and going back and watching it a second time, because like, yeah, that's what school was like occasionally for me.
John, what was your favorite episode?
Non-D&D category. The one where Abed gets handcuffed to not Pierce's file cabinet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Hickey's.
Yeah.
And it's like,
because he's trying to teach him a lesson.
Yeah.
But I just enjoyed how Abed was like, you're not really teaching anything. You're just lashing out.
Yeah, and I do like how that kind of draws out, like, oh, actually he has this dream and he's, trying to kind of cover it up.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting to watch Abed pull that out of Hickey, and sort of the push-pull of Abed trying to get Hickey to be more honest, and also his frustration with him, both for keeping him from seeing his movie and just being disingenuous with himself and others. Yeah,
and what's weird is the whole setup kind of seems more dickish than Abed usually is. Like, he very clearly shoots the costume where it would do damage to something.
Right.
And that's another one where he's going like, yeah, this is what happens when people get tired of me.
All right, next question. Thoughts on the show during that weird season Harmon wasn't in charge? A maybe weirder season that was on Yahoo, where Harmon was back in charge?
Yeah, the gas leak.
Yeah.
I do like how it's repeatedly referenced in later seasons as that year with the gas leak.
Yeah, it actually does have some decent episodes. It just does some weird things. Like,
I feel like they had no idea what to actually do with Troy that season.
Yeah, because that's the one where he and Britta are together and then they break up. Is that the one where they have the body switching episode, or is that in season 5?
I think it was season 4. I'm not 100% on that.
No, that was season 4.
That was season 4. That was actually a really good episode, especially because it had like Troy starting the bit and Abed following along instead of the reverse.
Well, you know what the trick is with that episode? That was actually written by Jim Rash, who plays the Dean.
Ah.
Like, I remember
Academy Award-winning writer Jim.
Yeah. Sorry, I remember there was an episode during season 4 that I really, really, really liked. I went, whoever did this needs to do all the episodes if they're not going to have Dan Harmon. Yeah, no, it turned out it was Jim Rash.
Yeah, he really does have an Academy Award.
But there were some other episodes, like the whole arc with Changnesia didn't really go anywhere. It seemed like they were trying to get it to. But that's not really surprising because it's hard to follow up the Chang arc in season 3 because that's just so perfect.
I would say that, later on, Chang sort of just now becomes we don't have Pierce to be terrible, so we'll just have Chang be terrible.
Yeah. I think season 4 also has the origin story episode, which was completely unnecessary, as origin stories often are. It did have the convention episode, but it just felt like they wasted a lot of potential there.
I think that's a lot of what season 4 was, really.
Yeah.
I think there were some nuggets of good ideas in there, and there was some good episodes, but a lot of it was just sort of was wasted potential.
Yeah.
Because that gas just kept leaking.
Yeah. Like the friend in the convention episode was kind of just a generic jerk rather than actually being a toxic fan, and they set up Jeff with something really interesting, but it's just kind of an excuse to take him out of the convention for a while. I don't know, that was a letdown.
All right. Next up, question from Corey. Should this show just be entirely D&D episodes? I think it's called Harmon Quest.
Yeah.
Oh man, I have to say no, because then we wouldn't have like Law and Order, G.I. Joe, 8-Bit,
any of the paintball episodes.
Yeah, any of the good character development or like the layers and layers episodes.
I honestly really liked when the show got genuinely and truly oddball. And
yeah,
I do really like the D&D episodes, and I feel like that's like, maybe we should do a show about role-playing, and that's, probably where Harmon Quest came from. But they're really good episodes.
All right, next we have a whole slate from our buddy Bill at WB Foreman 999, who is also an excellent person over at Third Impact. What's your favorite Dean Pelton outfit?
Well, I want to say the Cobra outfit for the G.I. Joe episode, but if you want an actual live-action appearance, probably the Lady Gaga outfit in the Halloween episode.
I really enjoyed how he didn't have an outfit through most of the last season, and then he had a few outfits, and they were in the last episode.
Yeah.
I can't remember which episode it was, but like the half and half one.
Yeah,
he's
the duality Dean of Man.
Yes, thank you. Yes, that one was my favorite.
Jim Rash is just a treat.
I did enjoy the episode where they needed someone on the school board to be gay, and he's like, but that's like part of me. Like, you can't encompass everything that I am with just one word.
Yeah, it's like that's 1/8 of who I am.
That was weird because that episode really leaned into something that was kind of just this thing that they hinted at for a while. It was like, oh, okay. We're going to do some character development.
Which does bring us to his next question was, did you watch the 6th season, a.k.a. the Yahoo season, which I don't think anybody watched?
Well,
I actually did. I watched it at the time.
I actually did watch it the first time through Yahoo, which was kind of awkward.
Yeah, it was good. Like, I don't remember there being as many standout episodes as in, like, season 3 or season 5, but it was solid.
Well, like I said, I think Frankie might actually be my favorite character because, like, she is actually almost my viewpoint character from the point of view of she sees these other people and they're like absolute total weirdos, but so is she. She just doesn't like to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
And again, with Keith David playing Elroy, and there was just a lot of really good bits, and the whole Dean playing VR.
Yeah.
But it's a really, really lame version of VR.
It's so weird.
Like, I think the 6th season had a lot of really good moments to it, and it really proved that, man, this show is just good. And some of those characters, they can carry on anything.
It leaned into some things, like the Honda episode went way further into product placement than the Subway episode did.
Which I think was also the point.
Yeah. It just went off the rails.
And I really enjoyed the RV episode. Yes,
that was good. Because Abed keeps trying to flash back, and he can't. And it's like I just love the failed flashbacks he keeps doing.
Yeah, like I think season 6 had a lot of good moments to it.
Yeah.
Okay, so next question. As Community went on the show, it went on from being a study group at a community college to whatever they want to do / making the show less grounded in reality. Overall, did you like the more fantastical episodes? And was there ever an episode that jumped the shark for you?
I did. Like, I don't like the fantastical episodes exclusively. It was good to have some of the more grounded episodes in there. I think the ones that really jumped the shark were paintball, because if you really thought about it, the rules just didn't make sense. But yeah, like I like the fantastical episodes, and I like that they usually explain them with, oh, this character is having a mental breakdown, or this character has to go play this game to get his inheritance, or something like that.
Oh yeah, I completely forgot the video game episode.
See, I really, really, really like the paintball episodes because of how nonsensical but really cool that they were.
Oh yeah, I like them too. I'm just saying, like, you can't think about them too hard.
Which, I believe those were also directed by the Russo brothers, who, from that platform, jumped to making like a lot of the Marvel movies, like all the later Avengers Endgame and Civil War and all that stuff.
Season 6, that last paintball episode, is sort of weirdly the plot of The Winter Soldier.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense, because it's all covert until it finally breaks out into a war.
And if you'll notice, especially I think in season 6, they keep name dropping the Marvel movies, because they know the Russos are working on them, so they're ribbing them.
It's like, oh, those movies were terrible. Why did anyone ever make them?
And then most of the cast of Community makes cameos in one Marvel movie or another.
It's true.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, like the guy who plays Abed's in an episode, and the lady who does Shirley's in in a movie or two.
Yeah,
what
the
do you
dean
think?
is the dean of MIT.
Oh yeah. Okay, so last Bill question: what do you think of Dan Harmon's other work? I've tried to get into his other shows and podcasts, but they never seem to click like Community did.
I have enjoyed, although I'm not 100% current with Harmon Quest.
I mean, I think most of us got into Rick and Morty. I can understand why you wouldn't, because there is this weird sort of issue with the fandom. And I think a lot of that is because it is more ambiguous than Community is. Like, Community has a moral at the end of every episode. There's actually an episode where they kind of make a joke about what did we learn. Whereas Rick and Morty kind of lets you figure that out for yourself, and sometimes people figure it out wrong.
Well, I definitely think that Community has sort of this metatextual element to it that's a little bit different than Rick and Morty has. Like, they'll do fourth wall stuff, but I think Community, again, I feel it's a show about making the TV show sometimes as it is being a TV show. I enjoy Rick and Morty a good bit. I haven't really watched most of the new season. I need to. I just have been lazy about it.
Same.
And I haven't really gotten to Harmon Quest, but I kind of want to.
I mean, we are kind of in an era where people talking about playing tabletop games is, well, there's a bunch of them out there.
It's true.
But I kind of like Harmon Quest, if for nothing else, this little silly animated bits representing what their characters are doing.
All right, so our next set of questions come from our boy Tobias at Reverend_Tobias, who had told me this was his favorite anime. What did y'all think of the D&D episode? After what Harmon said about pitching it, I wonder if it really resonated with role players in the same way.
I'm not familiar with what he said about pitching it.
Yeah, that I don't know what he said.
Not either.
But I really liked the D&D episode. It felt authentic for if you've got like the one person who really knows the game, and then there's a bunch of people who want to play, but they don't know how these things work.
Yeah, but what I did like is they gave characters a reason to be invested in the game, where, they could have just played it off as, this is stupid, why are we doing this?
I think the D&D episode was one of the ones that Dylan first showed me, that introduced me to the show. And I know the moment that I first got on board with, like, okay, I can sit through this episode was, Ken Jeong showing up in blackface. And no, not like blackface, but dressed up as a drow. And I was like, okay, I'm in, let's go, let's do this. Of course,
Brutalitops, the magician.
It was so good.
Yeah, I like them because they are really aware of the source material. At the same time, it's funny. It's another one of those cases where you kind of lose suspension of disbelief, because you're like, you couldn't get through any of these stories in a single episode. Like, that's a standard that no RPG can live up to. But like I said, I really like that they built kind of emotional investment around it. Like, the fact that Jeff is trying to save Fat Neil because he feels guilty for giving him the name Fat Neil. And then Pierce comes in, and Pierce is mad. You know, they have to stop Pierce from ruining everything, but Pierce is hurt that he's not getting included. And it's just, like, there's a lot of really good character development in it. They didn't just say, oh, we're going to do D&D this episode, you know, forget about it. Next episode.
Yeah, I do like that no matter how out there the episode concept was, there was usually a really good reason why we were having it.
Yeah, the second D&D episode was good. Like, it took a little longer to get to that point, but by the time you've got, you know, Jonathan Banks getting into playing a, what is it, like a halfling or something?
Yeah.
It's good. Like you've kind of established he's using this to reconnect with his son, and it's actually weirdly moving for just a concept episode.
Well, speaking of concepts, Tobias's next question is, how did you feel about Abed and a portrayal of a neurodivergent character raised on media? How do you think he, or really any of the characters, would be different if the show came out a decade later in 2020?
I don't think Abed would change much, if at all. I think it would be interesting the way that some of the things would be handled in a post-Me Too community.
Oh, yeah.
Especially considering Dan Harmon was affected by some of that as well.
That's one thing I thought, like, the episode where Troy makes up the story of abuse is really the only time the show touches abuse, and that didn't age great.
No.
Like, if they had some other instance, it'd be like, okay, well, but yeah.
I also do think them using the whole gay probably would not be nearly as prolific as it kind of is throughout the first few seasons.
Oh, yeah.
No.
And they kind of hide some of it under, like, well, Pierce is racist, and this is just him speaking his mind. But yeah, there's like the one where Hawthorne Wipes kind of gets popular in the gay community. It starts out bad. It starts out kind of transphobic, and like, okay, this would not happen.
Probably not. I don't know. I think Abed works pretty well as a neurodivergent character. Like, he has nuance. Like, his gag is that, he reacts to the world like it's a TV show. But, you know, on his good days, he knows that's not true. But that's just a lens he looks reality through.
Yeah, like I said, like I am not on the spectrum as far as I know, but I definitely see him as being the weird kid. And what I like about Community is it does the weird kid differently than a lot of TV shows do. So a lot of TV shows, like I've watched a few episodes of Big Bang Theory, and it's like, okay, Sheldon's going to ruin everything. He needs to be managed. Do we care why he's going to ruin everything? Do we care, you know, that he's going to be hurt by us trying to manage him? No. Who cares? Just make sure he doesn't ruin everything.
Yeah. My mom actually kind of likes Big Bang Theory, which sometimes there's some good jokes here and there. But yeah, I do not like Sheldon. I don't think Sheldon's a good example.
Yeah, whereas, like, Abed, we see him, like, the study group actually considers his feelings. And I think that's really good. But again, like, all the characters are kind of weirdos, so it fits.
To kind of go back to the question, I think if the show started in, say, 2018, by this season, Pierce would be president of the United States.
Oh, no.
Oh, God.
So, the other thing I really liked about how they treated Abed was that, like I said, he was self-aware to know when people were kind of, like, treating him like crap, which seems realistic, but is not something a lot of TV shows do. You know, like, in most TV shows, it's like, we're going to do this thing, and they won't realize that we're targeting them. When in reality, it's the weird kid that has a better feel for the double standards and stuff because, you know, they're the ones who get affected by it. For everyone else, it was a Tuesday.
Yeah.
So I think they did that really well.
Fairly frequently, the show does kind of point out actual sort of autistic traits. Like, he has troubles with facial expressions.
Yeah.
He actually apparently isn't that good at math. It's
the only kind of misstep, I think, like I said, I really liked virtual systems analysis. The way they kind of teased out, what his feelings were about a lot of this. The only kind of misstep there is he's talking about how, this is where I end up when people are done with me. And Annie kind of, like, oh, that's so sad. And then basically all lives matters him. Like, everyone feels like that.
But yeah, the show also doesn't really shy away from acknowledging that Abed has some real mental issues. And on his bad days, he sometimes can't differentiate fantasy from reality.
Yeah.
Speaking of differentiating cast, fantasy, and reality, next question is, the cast is a number of other things after and before Community. What's the one case where you just can't separate the actor/character and it comes off influencing your impression of the other work? For example, like Donald Glover being the rapper/star of Atlanta, or Danny Pudi being in that one LARPer movie.
Which, I've seen that movie, and I also cannot remember the title of it.
I can't think of that much that I've actually seen him in.
You can't tell me that Donald Glover isn't Lando Calrissian.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
You can't tell me he's not.
The thing that I never could separate was actually something I saw before I watched Community, which was Joel McHale is hosting The Soup.
I forgot that he did that, yes.
Yeah, that was my only exposure to reality TV was through watching The Soup, because, I just it curated the most insane parts and had Joel McHale riffing on it. I was like, okay, yeah, I'm here for this.
Donald Glover is probably the actor I've seen most outside of Community.
Yeah, and he's so good, like the example, he's so good as Lando that you don't think of him as Troy.
Well, it is kind of funny as there's in that second paintball thing where Troy kind of, it was Abed who was kind of the Han Solo.
Yeah, once they decide that now they're doing Star Wars.
Yeah.
Now, I will say, and this is not Community at all, but once I got used to hearing Ben Schwartz as Dewey Duck in the new DuckTales reboot, then hearing him as Sonic the Hedgehog in the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, all I could do was like, what is Dewey Duck doing in this movie? Why is Dewey Duck Sonic? I don't get it.
Oh, yeah, and Danny.
Why is Jean-Ralphio in this?
Yeah. Man, that's not what this podcast is about, but the voice cast of the new DuckTales is so good.
It is really, really, really good. Okay. Next up is from Ryan at Midshelf Ryan on Twitter, who also does the Midshelf Gaming channel on YouTube. They do really good videos. Yo, Basil, can I get on this show? It's my favorite. I'd be like, no. Actually, we're literally at the 4-person OSMcast limit for this show. This is not including Charlie or Doug, but either one could have been on this show. I almost stopped being on this episode so that they could get on, but they didn't decide to get on. So, sorry about that. But his next question is Britta actually the worst? Yes, but also no?
That's what I said. Oh, God, no.
No.
No, not really.
She's, like I said, she has the potential to be a villain because she's kind of that really shallow sort of performative sort of person. But she's not as bad as Pierce, and she is not as knowingly cynical as Jeff. So her intentions are actually in the right place most of the time.
Again, she is the CrossFit activist. She does a lot of stuff just so you know she does it. But she's not actually the worst. She's just wholly unpleasant to be around, listen to, or talk to.
All right. Next up. Have you watched The Cape? Do you agree it deserves 6 seasons in a movie?
I have never watched The Cape.
I have never
Neither
watched
have
The Cape either.
But, I think Keith David was involved, so it probably does deserve 6 seasons in a movie.
And I'm now going to go back, because I actually forgot to read this question, I believe, from Bill. Do you think the movie will ever happen? I would really love to see it, if it does. That's me saying I would love to see it.
I don't know what they do for a movie, but...
Yeah, I suspect... I've kind of wondered if the fact that this is hitting Netflix all together is like some sort of signal that Netflix has acquired the rights or something, but I don't know. I almost don't want it to happen, kind of for the same reason that, back when Firefly was out, it's like, yeah, we need more seasons. And in retrospect, I started realizing, no, one of the reasons it's good is because it ended. And I think the problem the movie would have is it would have that same desire to kind of like end things and wrap things up that the show's been aware of for, 2.5 seasons. It would be a roller coaster.
Which I think would be fine. I know that they've said, at least Dan Harmon said, like, I think like Joe McHale and other folks are like, unless we can get everybody, we're not doing it. Everyone has to be back to be able to do this as a movie. Who knows? Maybe Netflix will get us.
Yeah, I mean, Netflix is not shy about throwing its money around. I don't know that I'm just like begging for the movie to happen. It would need to be just really, really good. And not just we got all the gang together and we did something. Because, I'm sure that'd be fine and people would like it, but I don't know. That's just not what I want. I don't need to see the gang get back together and just do something random. I want to see it be something interesting.
I do think the show actually ended pretty well.
Which time?
All of them. No. Well, the final season, the 6th season, the end. I mean, it was kind of, okay, this is a good parting of the ways kind of finale.
If they destroyed Greendale, if the college explodes, and they have to come to terms with that, I think that could be fun.
That could be interesting. That would also be a really weird concept.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to think, like, what could they do? What could be the big, like, something would have to happen, much like how you mentioned in Firefly, how a certain character is a leaf on the wind. Something bad, something really, really bad would have to happen if this was a movie. And I think the worst thing that you could do, but still keep the whole cast together and make something interesting, would be if the setting gets destroyed.
It could be closed down or just, like, bulldozed or something. I didn't have to explode.
Well, yeah, but that makes sense because Greendale is really a character in this, and even if you got all the characters together, it wouldn't work without it. So
a movie would feel very final if the school itself was destroyed.
Yeah, and that would also force them to come to a resolution that didn't feel forced, I guess, for lack of a better word.
His next question is, what's your favorite homage episode? Paintball. I love all the paintball episodes for no good reason. Well, there are lots of good reasons to like it, but when they did paintball, that was why I was like, what?
I think
I really liked the G.I. Joe episode, particularly if we're talking about homages, the way they did their own little G.I. Joe toy commercials within the episode.
Yeah. I also really like the Law and Order episode.
Oh, yes. That just is such a Law and Order episode. They're definitely good homages.
John, what's your favorite homage?
Law and Order.
Also, like, runner-up, the one where Abed's trying to do My Dinner with Andre and all his friends are trying to do Pulp Fiction, and they kind of have trouble meeting in the middle.
Yes, that one's really good, too.
All right, next question. Would you hire Jeff Winger to represent you? Hell yes, because I'd win.
Yeah.
Especially if I actually did it.
Yeah, if I actually did it, absolutely.
I don't know. It depends on which Jeff we're getting. Like, if we're getting the Jeff that is just kind of doing his own thing, and those can get really dark. But if we're getting the more sympathetic Jeff, yeah, like, he is who I would want to represent me.
And finally, who do you think Jeff's most significant connection was by the end? I mean, based off season 6's ending, I guess it would have to be Annie.
Yeah, I was about to say, Annie feels like just the obvious answer, but I also can't really make a great argument off the cuff as to why it would be anyone else.
I would say maybe, as an alternate, maybe Abed, because they both kind of come into the story together in many ways.
Yeah, I think those characters all kind of help open him up to new experiences, which normally he's just like, no, I want to stay in my own world. I don't know. I feel like a lot of the trying to set him up with Britta and Annie, or really any of the times they try to put people together feel a little forced. I don't know. Like, honestly, like I said, he is not my point of view character. He's pretty far down the list of people I relate to. So I'm like,
well, I kind of wonder maybe it's Greendale. You know, it's the college that he now works at. It's a college where he essentially lives. And especially in season 6, a lot of the points of Jeff's own growth is the concept of, wait, no, I work here. This is my job now, except for the dean and Caravan's favorite character whose name I'm blanking on.
Frankie.
Like, everyone else, and I guess Chang, everyone else is going to leave.
Yeah.
And that really, when you realize that he has attached himself to this life, to this existence, and part of that existence are these people, and he's already seen people like Troy and Shirley leave and have become successful in their own rights, and he's not, well, he doesn't realize that he is successful in his own right, but he's going to watch everyone else leave, and it really gets to him, and part of the ending is him coming to terms that, you know what, I'm still going to be here at Greendale.
Yeah, that is a good point, because I think, like I said, he swings from being a really kind of cynical, dark character to being a really sympathetic character, and it is Greendale that forces him back into being a good guy. Like, okay, you can't go back to the old life where you're lying and manipulating people, because that's not, you know, you've learned not to do that, and you've learned why you shouldn't do that because of the people of Greendale.
I do think Jeff's arc really is a guy from very little connections to having a lot of connections with a lot of people.
Yeah, people he wouldn't
like
ordinarily...
the minor characters he gets kind of connected to.
Yeah, people he wouldn't ordinarily connect with.
All right, so let's take another break. Then we'll come back with final thoughts and awesomes out of awesome. This is the OSMcast.
Standing in the bookstore line, waiting for the bell to chime, so you can go to class. Dancing in your underwear, taking air conditioner repair, so you can get a job. Greendale's the way it goes. Some things are still the same. Slop pails and pantyhose. Oh, and he believes in me.
And we're back. Hi, y'all. So, what are your final thoughts on this show we call Community? Because that's what it's called.
I think it's a pretty good show, Basil.
I do too. Like, maybe some of us final thoughts. How did y'all find Community? Because I don't remember. I don't remember if Kevin mentioned it to me, or I just happened to catch it on NBC, or what.
I think I found it through you somehow. So you must have found it on your own, because somehow, I don't know if I saw an episode through you, because I think it was right before the Yahoo season happened when I actually first saw it.
No, I'm pretty sure we watched it beforehand, but it probably was through me. I guess maybe something on Twitter or a forum I went to, or something comments like, hey, this is, because I remember also thinking Big Bang Theory was a thing, and I'm like, oh, this is bad, I don't like this at all. And it was like Community and IT Crowd were the two shows. I'm like, okay, now these people get it. These people actually get it.
For me, it was definitely through Dylan.
There was a joke for a while that I was just gonna make references to, like, Community and Arrested Development, because I was always pushing people to watch it, which I don't get into shows that often. So, but when I do, it's really deep. I don't know. Like, I think I came in late to it, and I read an article just, I'd seen articles talking about how good it was. I was like, oh, okay, I guess I really need to check this out.
All right then, folks. Let's get some awesomes out of awesome.
I mean, who's going to be the first to say 6 seasons in a movie out of awesome?
Apparently you.
Okay, awesome. Great.
I'm going to say 7 really awesome people in the study group, at least to start with, out of awesome.
I need to come up with a reference, but I can't think of one.
Well, this show has lots of references, though, so you have plenty of things to pick from.
But I can't think of any of them. I don't know. It's 6 seasons minus the gas leak year out of Awesome.
I'm going to give it one glorious campus of Greendale that even if you're a dog, no matter who you are, no matter what you're dealing with life, Greendale accepts you, and you're going to degree from that place. And that's important. Out of Awesome. And this has been the OSMcast, your podcast for everything awesome. It is edited by my wonderful wife, Anna. Our theme song is done by DJ Inabito. You can find him at djinabito.com. Well, you can find the OSMcast on Twitter at awesomecast.com and the website, awesomecast.com. I'm on Twitter at @SpaceTime.
Oh, you want me to tell them, Kevin? I'm at Twitless_Kevin.
I'm at Dylan Wolf.
And I'm at J5 is live.
And
Can't spell is live. I can't fucking help you. I'm sorry.
And as we mentioned earlier, John has an awesome Twitch stream called These Are Video Games, or TheseAreVG. Is that with an S or with no S?
No S.
So TheseAreVG. The VG stands for video games. And quality. Don't let them tell you any different. Like I mentioned also at the top, we now also have the Carbuncle Chronicle, our Final Fantasy XIV podcast, which you're going to find on the opposite Mondays that the OSMcast is not going up. Also, John did an awesome, wonderful interview recently.
Yeah, Diva Marie Gregory, voice of Flame in Fire Emblem Three Houses. Really sweet lady, like her a lot. I defy you to listen to that and not like her a lot too. So
it's true, I now like her a lot. You're correct. Anyways, that's been us. Thank y'all for listening, and we'll see you next time. Until then, we are out. We did it. We recorded an episode.
Yep.
Oh, Anna, don't worry. It's only an hour and 105 minutes.
An hour and 45 minutes?
We had a lot to say on this topic.
Love you, Anna.